legends in the building. Like, comment, and subscribe. Today we're going to talk about Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, we have reports that he has signed a free fight deal with PBC. Now, Eddie Hearn has confirmed this because he couldn't get him the fights that he wanted. But initially, I don't think Canelo wanted the rematch with Bivol because he struggled in the last fight with Bivol, as we well know, and also I think Bivol is quoted as saying he doesn't want to fight him because of all the hoo-ha that was going on and all of the rubbish. Remember, he didn't get paid. And something to do with him being Russian. They didn't want to pay him. I think he eventually got paid, but like the stink over that was pretty bad, to be fair. But anyway, what can we say about Canelo Alvarez? Excellent fighter. You know, since he fought Floyd Mayweather, he's learned a lot of things. He's changed up. He's employed a lot more defense. He moves his head more. He feints. He can ride punches. Great at counter punching. He's got power. But one thing I do have to admit with Canelo that is probably going to upset a few people is he has the art of making his record look a lot better than actually what it is. Now, don't get me wrong, he's fought some incredible and really world-class opponents, but there is a but, and to say it, people are going to say, well, I'm hating, or, I've got something against Canelo, when in actuality, I don't. I actually rate him highly, but I think he copied Floyd Mayweather's blueprint a little bit too much, but to the point where it's obvious what he's doing in his fights. So if you was to look at his record, first glance, it looks like a really good record, and it is a good record. Most people haven't even reached the heights of boxing as Canelo, but there is some discrepancies, and obviously we're going to go and delve into those in a minute. So if we start from 2013 when Canelo fought Floyd Mayweather Jr. for the WBA super welterweight title and the WBC World Superweight title, and he lost by majority decision, it kind of taught him a lesson, because Floyd was undefeated, 44 fights at that time, and he got beat. He basically got a boxing lesson, but he actually taught him something about boxing, in the sense that you need to be, as well as offensive, you need to be defensive. So coming off that fight, he fought Erislandy Lara. Now, Erislandy Lara, brilliant boxer. Amateur style. He had 68 fights. 68 wins and 8 losses. And he only had 5 KOs. And this was in the amateurs. Cuban, southpaw, 5'9", reach 175 inches. So in that fight, people will say it was a close fight, and a lot of people are of the opinion that he lost that fight. And I watched that fight, and I kind of concur. He did actually lose that fight. But again, I think he learned something from that fight as well, because that was another fight what taught him about defense and countering. So up until then, resume still good. Fought Miguel Cotto. Then he fought Amir Khan. So the Amir Khan fight, he was actually losing until he knocked Amir Khan out. Now, Amir Khan, another brilliant boxer, has great amateur record as well. 31 wins, 3 losses, only 13 KOs. At that time, I'd say maybe Khan's chin probably wasn't the best because, he'd been knocked out by Lamont Peterson, Breeders Prescott, and I think he got knocked out by Danny Garcia, but he went on a 5-fight run. But at that point, he stepped up to Canelo's weight, which was middleweight. Now, it's not that big of a jump, but to fight Alvarez, who's probably more natural at that weight than Khan was, maybe it was too big of a jump. But anyway, up until then, he was winning the fight. I wouldn't say he was winning it easily, but you could see he was winning the fight. But then he got knocked out. So, carrying on from Amir Khan, he then fought Liam Smith, who he knocked out. Then he got up to Gennady Golovkin, and that fight was declared a draw in 2017. But personally, watching that fight, even though it was very close, I think Golovkin won that fight. And then there was all the back and forth of whether they'd run it back and whatnot, and who how and what's that. And then they ran it back and he beat Golovkin. Then he fought Rocky Fielding, who he knocked out. And I don't think that was actually, a great fight to fight. But anyway, then he fought Danny Jacobs in 2019. And Danny Jacobs gave him trouble. So, you can see a little bit of a pattern. Certain fighters that he fought, he'd pick specific ones to fight, and then he'd fight tougher opponents. But then when he fought the tougher opponents, if it went to the scorecards, majority of the time he'd win. But if he actually got beat, then there's nothing he could do about that. So I'm not saying he was cherry picking, but you can see a pattern. But anyway, we come up to the 2019 bout with Sergey Kovalev, and I'm sorry to say, he fought Kovalev straight after the battle that Kovalev had with Anthony Yarde. Now, that fight was a really good fight with Kovalev and Anthony Yarde, and Anthony Yarde had Kovalev in trouble in that fight a few times, just for the fact that Yarde blew his flipping gasket and blew his engine and blew the tank. That was the only thing that more or less saved Kovalev. And then obviously he's just got superior boxing skills, and he just boxed, and he just basically just punched him to nothing. So that's how he won that fight. Because realistically, his corner, Buddy McGirt, was going to actually pull him out prior to that round where he won. So basically, he would have lost the fight and would have retired if Yard had not killed himself that round and blew a gasket to get him out of there. If he'd have just stayed with it and done what he needed to do, he probably would have won the fight. But, you know, hindsight's perfect. It's one of those things you never can really tell. So that was a quick fight where Alvarez fought Kovalev, didn't really give him time, you know, turn around, and he beat Kovalev. And, you know, he jumped up in the weight to fight Kovalev because it was a big jump, you know, light heavyweight, so from middleweight, really big jump. And to be fair, you know, he was struggling a little, but then obviously, you know, he beat Kovalev, he knocked him out. So then again, now he fights Callum Smith, who wins on decision. Then he fights Andy Yildirim, which I don't think was a credible opponent because he won within 3 rounds again. So, you know, then he fought Billy Joe Saunders. So that was another credible opponent. But I think Saunders was coming off a layoff again, been inactive for a while in that fight. You know, he'd not fought for a while, I think over a year. So there is that, but he was a world champion and, you know, he beat credible opponents, so you have to give him his dues on that. Anyway, so going forward from Saunders, we have Caleb Plant, good fighter, credible opponent. Then, you know, he decided to fight Dimitri Bivol. Now, maybe it was a step up too far, who knows. Went to unanimous decision. Maybe he thought he'd beat him because obviously, you know, more things are always in his favour, but he lost. And it was telling, you could actually see that he lost. So he lost that fight. So, and he fought Gennady Golovkin again. I've not actually watched that fight, but he won by unanimous decision. But again, you know, the Golovkin from the first matches that he fought, from the split decision, the very first one, to the win in 2018, that was like over 4 years later. So at that point, Golovkin's not the same fighter. You've aged him out. And then you fought John Ryder, who you beat by unanimous decision. And I think he made fairly easy work of that. So the point I'm trying to make with this is that there's been a pattern of persistent certain types of styles of fights that he's picking, and I'm gonna say it's a form of cherry picking, because you're fighting people off layoffs, you're fighting people and aging them out, you're fighting people that you know you've got a more higher chance of beating, you're fighting people that are world champions, but something within your scope of theory can see that you can beat them, you know. So I'm not saying it's unfair, but it's tactical in the way you're doing things. And yeah, you move up in weight and you set records and beat these people, but in the scheme of things, are these credible opponents? Is it fair? Some of the fights, yeah. Some of the fights, maybe not so. But I suppose when you're the A side, you can get away with murder. Now, moving on to the PBC side of things with this 3-fight deal, again, we're going to see another pattern of somebody coming off a layoff, if the reports are true, and you do get to fight Charlo. It's going to be interesting. But Is this version of Charlo the Charlo that he should have fought when he was at his best? Remains to be seen. And he has been off a long layoff, so the fans are going to get to see the fight that they want to see. But is it really the fight that we should be seeing? In the sense that, again, you're picking someone off a long layoff, so it's in your favour for you to win. So it's becoming a bit disillusioning for boxing in that sense, because you're kind of watching things that you think are the real deal, but then again, they're a little bit fugazi, they're just a little bit off, there's just a little bit something tainted. It's just not 100%. It's something like, 80 to 85% of what you should really be getting. So it's a bit diluted. But anyway, that's just my thoughts and opinion on the situation. And kudos to Canelo to going to PBC and signing the contracts to get the fights that he wants. But is it a little bit too late? So anyway, like, comment and subscribe. And tell me your thoughts in the comment section. And do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think that Canelo has a history of doing this? Has he followed the Mayweather blueprint of just cherry picking certain fights because it's within his benefit, and he knows he has a better chance of winning with certain aspects of things? So that's another one from Knockout Legends. Like, comment and subscribe.